Is story time again. I received this story over the holiday. In this story, we follow a man whose world was turned upside down when he discovered his wife of 6 years had been cheating on him. But he would also get more information from an unlikely source. His wife was a flight attendant, and it wasn't until he started digging through some phone records that he discovered his wife's betrayal. For the first 6 years of our marriage, we had a seemingly perfect relationship. We traveled together, celebrated anniversaries, and shared countless memories along the way. Although we had disagreements like any couple, we seemed to have a strong bond that would withstand any hardship. Little did I know at the time that an egregious betrayal was on the horizon. My wife became a flight attendant shortly after high school. I didn't realize you could become a flight attendant at such a young age. All you needed was a high school diploma, be able to pass a background check, and you were pretty much hired. But I didn't date my wife in high school. I met my wife through a friend who was actually a blind date. I fell in love with her. The moment I saw her, she seemed to be the perfect woman. We kept dating and doing things together. When I met her, she had aspirations to be a flight attendant. She was driven, which I found to be an attractive quality of hers. Everything seemed to be going fine. Nothing was out of place, and she was working, taking classes, and continuing her education. We were married in 2016, and we held off on having kids. By this time, she had been a flight attendant for about 3 years, and I was aware of her trips and the place that she would go in the beginning. She would always text me when she landed, even sent me a photo like clockwork. This went on for 2 years, and then it started to gradually taper off, but I didn't stew about it because I figured she was complaining and then getting ready for the next flight. So I just figured she was busy. Her 3rd year as a flight attendant is when a lot changed. Her texting me when she landed seemed like it stopped abruptly. And when I called her, she wouldn't answer her phone. And when she did call or text me back, it would usually be the next day, and she would give me an excuse as to why she couldn't return my call or text. I didn't press her about it. But in the back of my mind, I was beginning to get worried that something wasn't right for about a week. She wouldn't call or text just to chat. She would always do that when she was away. She would be in her room, and we would talk about places to visit together after getting home from work. One day I got an email that my phone bill was ready to view. I was eager to look at it because it was rather high, and I wanted to make sure nothing was out of the ordinary. As I scrolled through the bill, I noticed some strange phone numbers being called and texted by my wife's number. I mean, she was blowing up this phone number with calls and text messages. I didn't believe it. The amount was staggering, and that wasn't a good sign. So I wanted to continue digging into this phone number. She kept blowing up. I called the number once, and it went straight to voicemail, and of course, it was a guy's voice on the other end. I work for the city. So I am around a lot of lawyers, cops, and a few guys who also take care of our computers. I had a conversation with one of the IT guys, and I flat out asked him if there was a way I could recover text messages from a phone. He asked me what kind of phone I had. I told him I had an iPhone. He then tells me I could possibly recover them through the iCloud account. He gave me instructions, but I was still not sure. So after work, I went on the internet to see if I can make sure I did this right. After reading many articles and watching a few videos on how to recover deleted text messages, I decided to give it a shot. The recovery process took about an hour or 2. But in the end, I was able to get all of her deleted text messages that she deleted from her phone. Paul. I am going to say it was heartbreaking to read those messages. She was talking crap about me and how boring I was. After I recovered all of the text messages, printed them out, and waited for my opportunity to show them to her. Fast forward 3 days, and she was scheduled to come back on the 4th day. By this time, I had already moved my money around and was in the process of talking to a lawyer about getting the divorce process started over the next day. I was looking for another place to live, trying to move out my things before she gets back. But I got lucky because she sent a text saying she had a layover which would delay her coming back for a day. So I made an appointment with a lawyer. I live in Georgia and from the looks of it doesn't seem too bad for me. I don't have any kids with her. We don't own a house together. The house we live in, we are renting, and we have only been married 6 years, which is about to end. But something strange happened when I got home that evening. There was a knock at the door, and guess who it was? It was the wife of my wife's. Appy was floored. She even said, "You don't know who I am," but said she had something to tell me. She was an older woman. Apparently she hired a private investigator to follow her husband because she felt he was cheating on her based on his behavior. Now, I just learned that my wife is cheating with someone 15 years, her senior. We are both 31 and her AP is 46 years old. We sit down and she begins to tell me that my wife has been seeing her husband for almost a year and I didn't even see any signs. I told this guy's wife that my wife's behavior started to change just last year. She goes on to say that my wife and her husband had been talking about places they wanted to visit together, like Hawaii and the Caribbean islands. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then she gave me a folder full of emails, text messages and some pictures. I asked her, how did she get the pictures? Then she said her private investigator got them for her. At the end of it, I felt like a fool that I didn't see any signs of this going on before she left. She said if I needed anything else, just let her know. She also told me that she is going to try to get everything she can from him. They have been married for 29 years. I am now getting ready for the divorce process and will be using all of the evidence. When I met with the attorney, he told me that all of this evidence may hinder her chance to get alimony here in Georgia. That day I had the attorney filed for divorce on my behalf. I then went home and started packing my things as much as I could because she was scheduled to come back in the morning. That night I ended up moving some of my things to storage. Then I went and stayed in an extended stay hotel. But before I left the house, I made copies of the text messages, pictures and everything I had and put them in an envelope and put it on the kitchen counter for my wife to look at. I wrote on the envelope, "Hey, sweetie, check this out." Well, when she got back the next day, she blew up my phone, but I never answered any of her calls or text messages. Fast forward a few days and her bombardment stopped abruptly. My lawyer calls me and says all she is trying to get is alimony, which I told him I will fight. Well, fast forward 2 months and my soon-to-be ex-wife was served with divorce papers. We had our divorce hearing just a few weeks later. All in all, my wife got her ass handed to her and she got to keep the furniture, but that's it. She didn't get any alimony or any kind of money from me. As for my ex-wife's AP, well, his now ex-wife got the house in half of his retirement and he has to pay her $2,000 per month for 10 years. Ouch. We actually talked on the phone, and even though she won in court, I could tell she still loved her ex-husband. She even told me that, but she also said she considered reconciliation. But the ultimate decision for her was she wouldn't be able to trust him. My divorce has been final for about 6 months now and I am excited about what the future holds for me. Although this was a difficult experience, it has made me more aware of signs that my partner may be cheating. I want to start dating, but I haven't recovered mentally yet. I am in the process of seeing a therapist and I don't want to put all women in the same category. Thank you, Tony, for all that you do. I have been a long-time listener of your channel for over a year. Never ever thought my relationship would be on the channel.